The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor of the country club ballroom, and in that deafening moment of silence that followed, Maya Chen felt her entire world crack open just like that crystal. Her ex-boyfriend Derek stood there with his new girlfriend draped over his arm, both of them wearing matching smirks as every eye in the room turned toward Maya. The annual Hudson Valley Charity Gala had just become the stage for her most humiliating moment, and she stood there frozen, her emerald dress suddenly feeling like a spotlight, her face burning with shame as whispers erupted around her like wildfire. Derek had just announced to everyone within earshot that Maya had been calling him desperately for weeks, begging him to come back, fabricating stories that made her sound unhinged and pathetic. None of it was true, but the damage was done. She could see it in their faces, the judgment, the pity, the schadenfreude of people who loved nothing more than watching someone fall from grace. Then a warm hand slipped into hers, strong fingers intertwining with her trembling ones, and a calm voice said, "Sorry I'm late, sweetheart. Traffic was murder coming from the city." Maya turned to find Ethan Brooks standing beside her, the quiet architect from her firm who usually kept to himself, sketching buildings in the corner office while everyone else gossiped by the coffee machine. He was looking at her with such tenderness, such conviction, that for a moment she almost believed they were actually together. His other hand moved to the small of her back, steadying her, grounding her when she felt like she might shatter into 1,000 pieces, just like that champagne glass. If you believe in kindness, in the power of compassion, and in giving people second chances when they need it most, please hit that like button, leave a comment below, share this story, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything. Ethan turned to face Derek with a pleasant smile. That didn't quite reach his eyes and said loud enough for the surrounding crowd to hear, "You must be Derek. Maya's told me so much about you." Well, not that much, actually. We've been so focused on our own happiness that the past rarely comes up anymore. He pulled Maya closer, and she could feel the solid warmth of him, could smell his cologne, something woodsy and real that cut through the artificial perfume of the country club. Derek's confident expression faltered for just a second, confusion flickering across his face as he tried to recalculate the situation he thought he had under control. Maya's mind was racing, trying to understand what was happening, why Ethan was doing this, but her body responded instinctively, leaning into him, accepting the lifeline he was throwing her. She managed to find her voice, though it came out shakier than she wanted. "Yes, this is Ethan. He's been working late on the Morrison Tower project, which is why he couldn't make it to the cocktail hour." The lie tasted foreign on her tongue, but Ethan squeezed her hand encouragingly, and she felt a surge of gratitude so powerful it brought tears to her eyes that she had to blink back rapidly. The crowd's energy shifted immediately. People loved a good romance more than they loved a scandal, and the narrative was rewriting itself in real time. Maya Chen wasn't a desperate ex-girlfriend begging for scraps of attention. She had moved on, moved up, with someone who looked at her like she hung the moon. Derek's new girlfriend tugged on his arm, whispering something urgent in his ear, and for the first time that evening, Maya saw uncertainty in Derek's eyes. He had wanted to destroy her, to make himself feel bigger by making her feel small, but Ethan had appeared like some kind of guardian angel in a Tom Ford suit and changed the entire script. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of Ethan playing the devoted boyfriend with an ease that stunned her. He brought her sparkling water when her hands were shaking too badly to hold wine. He introduced himself to her colleagues with genuine interest, asking about their projects and their families. He kept his hand on her back or her waist or holding hers, a constant reassuring presence that said without words that she wasn't alone. When they finally escaped to the terrace for air, Maya felt the adrenaline crash hit her all at once, and she sank onto a stone bench, her legs suddenly unable to hold her up. "Why did you do that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, looking up at Ethan as he leaned against the terrace railing, the lights from the ballroom casting shadows across his thoughtful face. She had worked with him for 3 years, and they had barely exchanged more than pleasantries about project deadlines and client meetings. They existed in parallel universes within the same firm. Her in the spotlight with her big presentations and charisma, him in the quiet corners with his brilliant designs and his preference for solitude. Ethan was quiet for a long moment, looking out over the manicured gardens below them, the autumn leaves rustling in the cool October breeze. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but steady. Because I know what it feels like to be made small by someone who's supposed to care about you. Because I've watched you for 3 years being brilliant and kind and real in a world full of people who are fake. Because when I saw you standing there with that look on your face, the look I used to see in my own mirror every morning after my ex-wife left, I just couldn't walk away. He turned to face her, and in his eyes she saw a depth of pain and understanding that took her breath away. You didn't deserve that, Maya. Nobody deserves that. She felt tears spill over then, the ones she had been holding back all evening, all week, all month since Derek had started his campaign to destroy her reputation because she had dared to end things when she discovered he had been cheating on her for half their relationship. Ethan moved to sit beside her on the bench, not touching her but close enough that she could feel his presence, his solidarity. I don't know how to thank you, she managed to say through her tears, wiping at her face with the back of her hand, probably destroying her makeup but no longer caring. You don't have to thank me, Ethan said simply, but we should probably figure out how long we've been dating and what our story is because everyone in there is going to be asking questions tomorrow. There was a hint of humor in his voice, and Maya found herself laughing through her tears, the absurdity and kindness of the situation hitting her all at once. Over the next few weeks, their fake relationship became the most real thing in Maya's life. They had coffee every morning before work, getting their stories straight, but finding themselves talking about everything else instead. Their childhoods and their dreams, the buildings they wanted to create and the places they wanted to see, the ways they had been hurt and the ways they were trying to heal. Ethan told her about his ex-wife who had left him for his former best friend, about the year he spent barely able to function, throwing himself into work because it was the only thing that made sense anymore. Maya told him about growing up as the daughter of immigrants who had sacrificed everything so she could have opportunities, about the pressure she felt to be perfect, to never fail, to always have it together even when she was falling apart inside. They went to dinner parties and gallery openings, playing the role of the loving couple, but somewhere along the way the lines blurred, and Maya realized she wasn't acting anymore. The way Ethan listened to her, really listened, like every word she said mattered. The way he noticed when she was tired or stressed and showed up at her apartment with Thai food and a willingness to just sit in comfortable silence. The way he defended her work. In meetings, not because they were pretending to date, but because he genuinely believed in her talent. She found herself thinking about him at odd moments, smiling at texts that weren't even particularly funny, feeling her heart skip when his hand would brush against hers. It was at the firm's holiday party, 2 months after the gala, that everything came crashing down in the best possible way. They were standing by the windows overlooking the city, the Manhattan skyline glittering like a promise, and Maya turned to Ethan with words she had been rehearsing all week. I think we can end this now, she said, trying to keep her voice steady, trying to be practical. Derek's moved to California with his girlfriend. People have moved on to other gossip. You've saved my reputation, and I'm so grateful, but I don't want to keep taking advantage of your kindness. Ethan's face did something complicated, a flash of hurt quickly masked by understanding, and Maya's heart clenched. Right, he said quietly. That makes sense. We had an arrangement, and the arrangement has served its purpose. He started to turn away, and Maya felt panic rise in her chest, the sudden terrifying clarity that she was about to lose something infinitely precious. Unless, she said quickly, reaching out to catch his hand, feeling her heart hammering against her ribs. Unless you don't want it to end either. Unless these past 2 months have been as real for you as they've been for me. Unless I'm not crazy for falling in love with the man who pretended to be my boyfriend to save my reputation, but ended up saving so much more than that. Ethan turned back to her, and the expression on his face was everything she needed to see. Hope and joy and relief all mixed together. the careful walls he kept up crumbling away. "You're not crazy," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Or if you are, then I am too, because I haven't been pretending for a long time, Maya. I stopped pretending the moment I held your hand that night and realized I never wanted to let go." When he kissed her there by the windows with the city lights as their witness, it felt like coming home to a place she hadn't known she'd been searching for. It felt like all the broken pieces of her heart, the ones Derek had shattered, rearranging themselves into something stronger and more beautiful. Around them, their colleagues started to notice and then to applaud, but Maya barely heard them. She was too busy kissing the man who had pretended to love her and ended up making it the most genuine truth of both their lives. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in unexpected love and the healing power of genuine kindness, please show your support. Like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss our stories of hope and human connection. 3 months later, Ethan would propose to her on the same terrace where she had cried, and he had explained why he helped her, completing the circle from pretense to forever. But in this moment, in this kiss, Maya understood something profound. Sometimes the person who saves you isn't a romantic hero from a movie. Sometimes they're the quiet architect in the corner office who has been seeing you all along, waiting for the moment when you needed someone to stand beside you and say, without hesitation, without expectation of reward, "I've got you, Doc." Comment below if you've ever had someone show up for you when you needed them most, or if you've been that person for someone else. We'd love to hear your stories. And sometimes the reputation you think you're saving turns out to be your heart, and the pretend boyfriend becomes the real love of your life, and the worst night of your existence transforms into the beginning of your happily ever after. Maya had walked into that gala feeling broken and alone. She walked out of this holiday party with Ethan's hand in hers, knowing that she would never be alone again, not in the ways that mattered. The champagne glass that shattered had reflected her old life, and everything that came after was the new one they would build together, one honest moment at a time.